The Audi Q5 now has another body type. The Q5 Sportback is Audi's answer to all the coupe SUVs that we have been seeing of late in the mid-size premium SUV segment. So the Q5 Sportback will take on the BMW X4 and Mercedes-Benz GLC Coupe. A sleeker silhouette, definite crossover feels and a sloping roofline, the Q5 Sportback follows the Q8, Q3 Sportback and the Q4 Sportback e-tron concept that was shown in July. It is in fact the success of such vehicles why Audi has said a third of its SUV fleet will have a Sportback variant, and that could only increase. Like the Q5 facelift that arrived in June, that got a new signature color too called District Green, the Q5 Sportback drives in draped in ultra blue amongst its various color offerings. The new Q5 Sportback gets a Sportback specific front grille, sportier bumpers than the regular Q5 and wider air intakes in the front bumper. The roof is completely new of course, as is the rear window graphic that accentuates the slimmed down rear. In fact, the rear 1/3 of the car is all new, so much so that the Q5 Sportback is longer than the regular Q5. The rear shoulder line therefore is different as it wraps into the tailgate, and the rear bumper has been pulled up from its base to add to that elongated look. The parts that are most noticeably the same are the LED head and tail lights. The latter have moved rearwards as the car is slightly stretched. The daytime running lights or DRL signature is like on the newly refreshed Q5 facelift, a new look to define the model line. The same is true of the new OLED or organic LED tail lights that have 3 customizable signature motif patterns you can choose from as an owner. A 4th pattern automatically comes on when the car is put into dynamic drive mode. The patterns also animate differently when the car is turned on or off. The entire taillight cluster lights up if sensors in the back sense a car approaching the Q5 Sportback from the rear when it's at a standstill. All of this is a carryover from the Q5 facelift that we've already seen. And yes, like the Q5, China gets a long wheelbase version, no one else does. The car also gets the new MIB3 interface that has got some updates over the Q5. This also has touch operation that includes handwriting recognition on the touchscreen and more intuitive displays in the instrument cluster and steering controls. Audi says the voice commands are also more intuitive now, and you can also use the Hey Audi command to activate the onboard virtual assistant. The car can also detect and therefore deploy pre-saved user profiles by means of sensing the programmable key fob that the driver enters the car with. So their app profile, music preferences and car seat, mirror and climate control settings activate automatically. There are a variety of 2-liter 4-cylinder diesel and petrol engines and a V6 on both fuel types too for the S models. There are options of a sports suspension with a tauter setup, a standard suspension, a steel suspension with damper control and an adaptive air suspension. The latter can lower the chassis by 55 mm for loading bulkier items, and in off-road mode sees the body lifted by 45 mm. The V6 comes with a mild hybrid system that, besides boosting power, also permits the car to coast on electric energy alone when cruising at speeds between 55 and 160 km per hour. All-wheel drive or quattro is standard except in the entry diesel model, which is the only front-wheel drive variant. The 4 cylinders get ultra quattro, while the 6-cylinder models get the permanent actuated torsional mid-diff quattro. Like the Q5, there are no manual transmission variants at all. The 4-cylinder models get the 7-speed S-TRONIC gearbox, while the V6 models have the 8-speed TIPTRONIC. India is likely to get the fully loaded Q5 Sportback in just the petrol variants, but not before the second half of 2021, and that too is the earliest we might see it.